Happy Friday and welcome to the Wrap. This week's Wrap features a hollowing out of the dependable middle, ZipRecruiter launching smart outreach, Jovio launching AI campaigns, Connecticut quietly killing the algorithm did it defense. The labor numbers are starting to trickle in and they're strange. More Oracle layoffs and how you can use them to boost your LinkedIn stats. Lance Hahn on token maxing and a brand new segment, Wrapline. Let's get into it. Hit the theme song.
It's the Wrap, HR Tech News and Shenanigans. It's the Wrap. Here's your host, Mike Wood.
I love the theme song. Here's where my head went this week, and it started at McDonald's. This, of course, is a picture of my kids from a couple years ago. One of the rare happy times at McDonald's and not screaming and fighting with each other. But every parent knows this moment. It's 6:30. The day is over. Your toddler will eat exactly one food on earth, and it's chicken, but only in nugget form. And you just want one thing in your life to be cheap, fast, and exactly what you expected. That was the deal that McDonald's made with America for 70 years, and it was never gourmet. It was certain. A Happy Meal in Massachusetts tastes the same as a Happy Meal in Arizona. Sameness, comfort, no surprises. That was the product. Yet, this month, McDonald's had their annual meeting and announced a new direction. They call it McDonald's Next. New premium items, bone-in wings, a hand-breaded McCrispy, and the Big Arch, their biggest, most premium burger, running about $9. And at the same time, they're launching McValue 2.0, which is a value menu with items as low as $3. Just try to forget that this is actually a take off the dollar menu when things were actually $1 and now they're triple in price in the past couple of years. But read those two announcements together and the whole strategy snaps into focus. A premium ceiling and a bargain basement floor launched simultaneously with no middle ground. McDonald's looked at the customer who wants certainty, and it spent 70 years selling them that certainty and decided that customer was worth less than the one who will spring for artisanal poultry. So McDonald's didn't invent this. Look at Vegas. I mean, those of us in the HR tech space have been to Vegas way too many times. And for decades, the Strip had the most democratic business model in America. Cheap hotels, cheap buffets, $5 craps tables that I love to hang out at. The middle class made the Strip. And for the last few years, the Strip has been shoving them out the door. Resort fees, paid parking on the Strip, $25 table minimums, no more Mike hanging around the craps tables. And the buffet died so that the bottle service could live. And Vegas is now down. 38.5 million visitors last year, down 7.5%, the lowest since 2021. And here's the catch. While the premium Strip sags, the value end of town is thriving. Locals casinos are up 6%. Fremont Street set a revenue record. Demand for value didn't go anywhere. The middle just found somewhere else to spend. This is the defining economic moment of the move. Economic move of the moment. Premiumize the top, abandon the bottle to a stripped down tier, and hollow out the reliable middle that everyone used to use. Airlines did it. Groceries did it. It's a barbell, and the data backs it. Moody's Mark Zandi found the top 10% of earners now account for 49% of all consumer spending, the highest on record going back to 1989. From late 2023 to late 2024, the top percent grew spending 12%, while everybody below them actually spent less. So employers are running that exact same play on workers that McDonald's and Vegas are running on customers. Premiumize the top, automate the bottom, hollow out the middle on both sides of the counter. And we're telling people they can get premium service while removing the people that would make that service premium. As I go through the rest of the news today, you'll see a similar pattern. The customer priced out of the experience and the candidate frozen out of the market are the same person, same eviction, just a different doorman. Now, if you can read more about this whole piece and this whole theory that I have going on ilovethewrap.com, but let's get into the news of the week.
HR Tech News of the Week.
So our first news story, ZipRecruiter, it's the ticker Zip if you want to look up their stock price, added automated candidate outreach to a resume database that's 50 million plus job seekers. And the new feature is called Smart Outreach. Here's how it works. It uses AI to turn a job description into a personalized, editable message series, then fires up to 3 messages automatically or until the candidate replies. Of course, they pitch it as freeing recruiters from chasing responses so that they can focus on, quote, the relationships that lead to great hires. But here's my take. It's a good move to keep their clients happy, but I don't see it really mattering much. So ask anybody which messages they delete first. It's the obviously automated new opportunity pings. For high volume, high turnover roles where fast ping generally beats silence, sure, that's fine. But everything else, the candidates actually worth hiring can tell a read profile from a keyword match in about half a second. And that second they smell automation, it cheapens the whole interaction to almost worthless. And that's the barbell shape that I mentioned before. Automate the bottom of the funnel and hope nobody notices when the human goes away. For most roles, this message goes straight to the spam folder, right next to the coupon codes for stuff that I didn't ask for. You can read more in the newsletter. My next story, Jovio, and this one I like. Jovio launched AI talent campaigns this week, and it builds directly on the theme that I hammered since I talked about the whole movie phone, why don't you just tell me what you want idea. The prompt box is becoming the front door to enterprise software. So here's what it does. You go into the prompt box, you state what you're looking for in plain language, and it builds an entire recruitment campaign for you. No 17-step wizard, no menu of menus, just tell it what you want. And you can search your own talent pool the same way you'd query an LLM conversationally. This is the right direction. The whole bit I've been making on the show is that the 17-step workflow menu is on borrowed time and the prompt box wins. Jovio's putting that bet into the product. They're saying the interface to recruitment marketing isn't a dashboard anymore. It's a sentence. It's a great move. Check out more in the newsletter. Third news story, and this one matters for every vendor and every employer touching AI hiring right now. Connecticut Governor Lamont signed the Connecticut Artificial Intelligence Responsibility and Transparency Act, the CART Act, into law this week. Two things in it to know. One, you have to be clear with candidates about what AI tools you're using and how. Transparency requirement. And two, the big one, if you get sued for discrimination, you can no longer just blame the tool. You can't say the algorithm did it. It's no longer a defense in Connecticut. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but as I read it, and as I had Claude, my assistant, double check for me, this is Connecticut answering by statute the exact question that the Mobley versus Workday case is still grinding through the courts. And Connecticut is siding against the employers and against the "it wasn't us, it was the vendor" excuse. Connect this to a theme that we've been tracking for weeks. The legal exposure on AI hiring tools is tightening from two directions at once. The courts in California and now legislation in Connecticut. If you're a CHRO buying any AI-touched hiring tool, your due diligence question just got sharper. Who's liable when the algorithm discriminates? Because the tool did it is officially running out of road. This will go into effect in October, which, believe it or not, is around the corner. So worth keeping an eye on. And you can read more about this law and the specifics of it in the newsletter. It's time for some research and reports.
Research and reports coming at you.
All right. That was an interesting transition. Let me put this back up. All right. Now to the data. There's been a lot of data this week. I'll start with Revelio Labs, who ran the numbers on healthcare, and the takeaway is stark. Since January 2025, the healthcare sector has added 410,000 jobs. That's nearly double the total net growth across the entire economy combined, which is just about 209,000. Let that sink in. Strip healthcare out of the 2025 numbers, and last year wasn't a slowdown, it was a contraction. The healthcare sector single-handedly kept the headline jobs number from going negative. And it's not an administrative bloat. The biggest share of that growth is actual practitioners, physicians, nurses, surgeons, nearly 3 times the next category, with home care aides close behind. And nearly half those new jobs come from small employers, under 500 workers, community clinics, physician offices, not the hospital megasystems. Revelio's read is that the pandemic catch-up phase is over, and what comes next is slower, demand-driven growth. Here's why that matters for the people watching this show. If you're in talent acquisition and you're not in healthcare, the job market you're feeling, the frozen one, is the real one. Healthcare has been hiding the freeze for everyone else. You can read more on Revelio's findings in this week's newsletter. Second data point, the April JOLTS report dropped Tuesday, and this is the whole labor market in one chart here. The headline looks like good news. Job openings jumped to 7.6 million, up 731,000 on the month, with the openings rate climbing to 4.6%. Fantastic. Great, right? No, Then you keep reading and it gets worse. Hires fell down to 5.1 million off 419,000, with the hires rate dropping to 3.2%. And hires were basically flat across every single industry. So picture it. Doors are being propped open everywhere and almost nobody is walking through them. Quits flat at 3 million, layoffs barely moved at 1.7 million. That's the low fire freeze now in its second year, where nobody's getting cut, but nobody's moving either. And the opening surge is a little suspicious. Professional and business services alone added 668,000 openings, while finance and insurance shed 135,000. And openings at the smallest employers, 1 to 9 workers, more than doubled the prior month's pace. That's the line I want you to remember. A posted job is not a hired person. And in a market where AI can spin up a job rec in seconds, the gap between we're hiring and we're hiring you has never been wider. A lot of these openings aren't jobs. They're just vibes. My third data point, you'll notice that this is Olaf. I love Olaf because the theme is still frozen. Both ADP and Revelio dropped their private labor numbers for May this week, and they landed almost on top of each other. Private jobs added between 122 to 124,000. They're both saying the same thing. Growth is real but narrow, concentrated heavily in healthcare, public administration, and professional services, while retail, leisure, and hospitality keep bleeding. ADP's chief economist, Nayla Richardson, called it the most broad-based hiring in the last few years, but underneath that, the market is frozen. Hiring and attrition are both falling. And the reward for job hopping, the raise that you used to get for switching jobs, is shrinking. And that's the part that should worry you if you're a worker. The escape hatch is closing. For a decade, you got away. The way you got the real raise was to leave. That lever is getting weaker. Quick programming note: the official May's job report from the government dropped this morning, the same day that this show is going out, and the newsletter is already out. I'm going to take a look at it and have a full report for next week. But I do want to pull up some of the initial things this week. So the change in jobs by number. So this is from the BLS reports that just came out. I got to go into it, but I just want you to see where the last tier is in that IT jobs, federal jobs. It's almost the same. So, while we're actively trying to gut the federal job system, it seems like they're actively trying to gut the IT sector too. I'll have more on this next week. But I have to think, we have to think about which set of numbers do we trust? Do we trust the government numbers, or do we trust the real people that are on the ground like ADP and Revelio that are looking at the real hiring numbers? It is time for some hot takes.
It's your hot takes.
All right, hot takes. So Oracle is wrapping the final phase of one of the largest workforce reductions in history, roughly 30,000 jobs, which is about 18% of its global workforce, with final separation dates landing between the 1st of this month and the 15th. And here's the thing. This is not a company in trouble. We've talked about this. This guy has an island. Oracle posted around $17.2 billion in quarterly revenue. So why cut a fifth of your workforce when you're making money hand over fifth? Well, it's capital relocation. They're committed over $50 billion to AI data centers and build out. And the payroll is where they're finding the cash. Now, for the actual hot take, there's going to be another wave of separation notices that are about to hit LinkedIn over the next 2 weeks. So if you are one of those people that like to piggyback on other people's misfortune to promote yourself, here's my refresher on the best practices for performative empathy on LinkedIn. 1, forget the actual Oracle employee. How does this affect you? Open with your own feelings about their layoff. That's leadership. Number 2, offer up your network. It's not a job, not a referral. The network. Gesture at it vaguely and let them know to come to you. 3, deploy the hashtag Oracle layoffs in your sad post. The algorithm can't reward compassion. It can't index. And 4, hit that support emoji on every layoff post. That's the least you can do. It's hard to put yourself out there, but together we can maximize our performative compassion one support emoji at a time. Lance Hahn, friend of the show, and I just want to bring this up a little bit. Look, there he is. I found this online. This is from Lori Rudiment's Punk Rock HR podcast, and I just love the mullet on Lance. But Lance has been a friend of the show, and I've been highlighting him since day one for good reason. Check out his piece this week on what he's calling token maxing. So here's the idea. Companies tell employees to use AI. They're incentivized the top users and people burning the most tokens. But then they act surprised when the bill comes. We cut headcount and somehow spend more. That's half of the entire edition in 7 words this week. So this is a dark joke underneath the whole barbell thesis. We're watching companies shed people to fund AI infrastructure, and that infrastructure is turning out to be more expensive and less predictable than the humans it replaced. The cruelest part is the bet underneath all of it, that the machine is cheaper than the person. It might not even be true. The companies furthest down the automation road are the ones discovering it's not. So we're evicting the middle on both sides of the counter on the theory that we'll save money. And we don't actually know that we will. We're just paying for the infrastructure now, which is why the layoffs keep coming. Lance says it's sharper than I do. So read his post. It's up on ilovethewrap.com and in the newsletter this week. Let's head out to some podcasts. So I want you to go and check out hr.com. I have my latest podcast for Totally Talent. This one is with Jennifer Ravalli, who is the founder of Maverick Meridian. She also has spent time at iSims and Harry. She's been in the space for a long time. She's a wonderful person, and she's actually an amazing singer if you ever get her out on a karaoke night. But the frame of the conversation is this. In a market where every vendor sounds exactly the same, the ones who win are going to be the ones willing to go under the hood. Be transparent. And honestly, that ties right into everything that we just talked about. The AI outreach that all reads identical, the demos that all blur together. We get into vendor differentiation, the death of best of breed, pricing strategy, and one, I think this is most important, why the human element of sales and service is about to become the biggest differentiator of it all. Check it out on hr.com, and please subscribe so you can get all my latest podcasts. All right. We're premiering a brand new segment this week. I'll bring out this show. So I wanted to create something that would be a better way to tell stories. So I've been bouncing around an idea for a while. I wanted something as informative as entertaining as Dateline, but I just didn't know where to start until Kristy McCann's story showed up on my LinkedIn feed. Kristy is an HR tech founder, and like a lot of the founders I interview, once I heard her story, I knew it couldn't fit in the standard record an interview on a webcam format that everyone's doing. It deserves something deeper. So I created Wrapline, which is a news magazine style look into what's actually happening in our space. Quick honest note, the Wrapline is a lot of editing. So this is not going to be a weekly thing. I am a team of one. It drops when there's a storytelling, but I want you to check out the first edition of Wrapline.
It's going to be fun, because we're going to be there for months with all the receipts that I have based on what I'm alleging in the Southern District of New York. So let's go.
Wrapline. Kristy McCann spent 20 years inside HR, change management, mergers, the unglamorous machinery of how companies actually work. Then she did the thing 20 years in HR teaches you never to do. She started a company. She called it SkillCycle.
I left HR to essentially start my own HR tech company because I was tired of Silicon Valley bros creating HR platforms for me and not asking me or other HR people how they should be built.
She wasn't just the founder. She was the first investor.
So I started Go Coaches Bootstrapped. I put in $500,000 in 2018. I made good money as an HR person.
And she knew a bad deal when she saw one. She'd walked away from plenty.
I'll never forget the one investor. Like, he sent me a term sheet 4 weeks later after he said that he was going to send me one. My name was misspelled. My company's name was misspelled. You know, the terms that we talked about were not the terms in the term sheet. And then he tried to gaslight me like, oh, I never agreed to them. It's like, you know what? You're done. I'm not taking your money. And then he actually goes, you're just pulling the woman's card. I'm like, I don't know what cards you have in your hand right now. I'm like, this is not a woman's card. This is, you're a liar and you're not going to gaslight me and I'm not taking your money.
So when the next fund came along, she did her homework. Crunchbase, PitchBook. She called other founders. But this one looked different. This one looked like it was built for someone exactly like her.
So the bad actor that I'm alleging in the Southern District of New York, they came in underneath an opportunity fund, which is for diverse founders like me, female, women, minorities, what have you. I did, vetting of them that they weren't really known. It was known as Panoramic Ventures.
What came next, she lays out in a federal complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. She has a name for the pattern.
They've essentially, were running what is known as loan to own, which is a predatory way of essentially, doing what I'm alleging in the claim that they're removing board-approved tranches, that they continue to pound down the valuation.
By her account, an 80% stake became roughly 4%. And then she was out. But here's what she keeps coming back to.
I was upholding the entire time my fiduciary responsibility to the company because it wasn't about me. It was about the company, the coaches, the employees, our customers. And I was just trying to find a way. I knew what I built was great. You don't steal bad companies.
BIP Ventures and its principal haven't answered the complaint in court yet and didn't respond when the Wrap reached out for comment. The case will take its course, but Kristy didn't come on Wrapline to relitigate it. She came on to tell other founders what she wishes she'd known.
Number one, make sure that any founder that's out there, if you're putting money in your company, make sure that that money is underneath founder preferred shares and leave it go. Let it be that. Don't let an investor try to convert you over to common. Also understand their DPI. Investors are just a middleman. It's not their money. It's the limited partners that have the money. And they owe these limited partners, usually within 5 to 10 year sprints. And understanding how much they have invested back to them, is understanding their overall debt per ratio, what that DPI number is. And that's a big deal because if they're not returning funds to their LPs, they're probably a weak VC that has a lot of debt and, possibly want to use your company as a personal asset management strip, like I'm alleging in my complaint.
She's already on to the next thing, a venture fund of her own, and a short list of companies she's betting on.
I'm going to build again, and I will never sign up with another VC because if this is what they're doing so that they can collect management fees and that they're using companies as personal asset management strips, that's ridiculous. That is not innovation. That is a Ponzi scheme.
That's Kristy McCann, the first guest on Wrapline. We'll be following the case, and you should be following her. For The Wrap, I'm Mike Wood. All right, that's it for this week's Wrap. Please visit hr.com to check out all my interviews with folks across the space on the Totally Talent podcast. Check out the website ilovethewrap.com and subscribe to the newsletter. If you have an idea for a story, something you want me to look into, or want to come on the show, just reach out to me on the website or LinkedIn. And so for those of you going to HR West in San Francisco next week, I'm flying out on Monday. I'll see you there. Have a great weekend, everybody.